Hello, Sacred Souls. So I wanted to hop on here today and make a quick video about how to use your intuitive senses to tune into your inner wisdom and be able to receive messages from the Divine Feminine. So I know that I've felt before there are some people who are psychic and have gifts, and there are some people that don't. And I felt like I didn't have those gifts because the way I was perceiving it was that, I don't see things, I don't see auras, I don't see stuff like that. I don't have those experiences that you associate with being psychic. And I do believe that there are some people who are profoundly gifted with psychic abilities, and that they definitely see and hear things that I don't see and hear, and that's okay. But I want to bring to light that I really believe that we all have intuitive abilities, and that we can all connect to these various intuitive senses and develop them, that it's actually a muscle that we can kind of flex and develop it further and get more in touch and be able to connect with the Divine Feminine and with our own intuition, so that we can receive messages from the other side, so that we can receive and connect to divine intelligence, universal intelligence. You hear people talking about channeling information, and that's what that means, is really just being able and open to receive information from the divine, and then kind of being the channel and letting that information come through. And also getting downloads. You might hear people talk about that, which is the same thing, just kind of downloading information and that intuitive inner wisdom. So I want to talk about the various ways that you can tangibly connect to your intuition in order to receive messages from the divine, and also really connect to the Divine Feminine, because the Divine Feminine is all about your intuitive knowing, your inner wisdom. It's all about really being grounded and in tune with what you already know. Many times we are always seeking answers on the outside, and that's okay. We need to do that sometimes. Sometimes we need teachers. We need to do that. There's always a balance. But there's also the wisdom that already exists within us, and oftentimes that is where the answer lies, if we're just able to tune in to that. So the various ways that you can connect to your intuitive senses are called your clairs, and some of you may have heard this before. So these are kind of your your intuitive senses. They're called your clairs, and I'll explain it a little bit further. But basically, one clair, or one intuitive sense that you may already have experienced but maybe just not realized it, is clairaudience. So that means being clairaudient is being able to hear inner wisdom, right? And so it's not so much like you're actually hearing voices or something like that. It's more like you are receiving wisdom through your inner ear, if that makes sense. And so I've experienced this a little bit. It's not something that happens very often to me, but there have been a couple instances where I received some intuitive knowing through my inner ear, and it was kind of like later that the meaning of that kind of came to me, right? So that is one way, is that, you may be really in tune with hearing and with your inner ear and receiving intuitive wisdom that way. Another clair is called claircognizance, and this is one that I connect with a lot. Basically, your cognition is just your understanding and your knowing. So really being claircognizant means that you just kind of know something. And so for me, this usually happens when I'm in a state of meditation, or it happens to me a lot when I'm in the shower because the shower is very cleansing, right? And so my energy is clear at that time, and I tend to just receive a lot of ideas and a lot of just knowing And it kind of just feels like it drops out of nowhere, just into my mind. And not even necessarily in the form of thoughts, but just kind of like a knowing, and then I form thoughts around it, if that makes sense. So it's just kind of this like kind of instantaneous knowing, and really like at a gut level, just kind of like something that you understand all of the sudden, when a moment ago maybe you hadn't thought about it or you hadn't understood it before. So this has been helpful for me on my healing journey, because there's a lot of mystery on a lot of, things can feel unclear when you're doing shadow work, and when you are kind of diving deeper into your subconscious and your deeper emotions that maybe you've been running from for a while. So that's when I started to do my healing work and my inner work. That's when my claircognizance really started to kind of really amp up, and I was able to just start intuitively knowing like what I was healing from, or maybe I was having like a breakdown moment, and it would kind of just come to me like, even if I didn't understand what got me to that breakdown in the first place, then it would come to me as like, what is healing right now? And sometimes it was ancestral, sometimes it wasn't even really directly related. I had like this moment when I was in yoga, actually, of really kind of like a lot of emotion was just coming up for me, and I didn't really know why. I know that yoga postures can release emotion and stuff sometimes, but all of a sudden, as I was laying on my mat, it just came to me that it had to do with my mom's unresolved pain and problems that she had with her mother, with my grandmother. And so I realized, wow, like I'm kind of releasing this ancestral emotion and pain that is actually from my mom and from my grandma. And it was just kind of this knowing that occurred. And so that's one that I really connect to. I'm very like in my head and kind of intellectual, so I think maybe that's why that's one of the clairs that fits me well. So that is claircognizance. And then another one is clairsentient. So this would be for those people who are, empaths or empathic, or highly sensitive to energy, especially the energy of others, where you can actually kind of feel the emotions and the feelings that others are having just by being around them, not, without them having to tell you. Or you can really tune into the energy of the environment around you. And for me, it's more so about the energy of the environment, is that I'm pretty sensitive to that sometimes. And so I definitely identify with this one as well. So for people who are clairsentient, it is really important, and I've talked about this before, it's really important to make sure that you cleanse your energy and your aura, right? So your aura is your electromagnetic field, which is scientifically proven to be there. And so you need to clear that energy, because you have the tendency to be able to tune in and channel the energy around you. And so, but that can be difficult for you if it's negative energy and if it's heavy energy. And so you need to be able to release that, to let it go. And if you need tips on that, please check out my story highlights, where I talk about self-care. So I give you tips for that. But that is clairsentient. What is the other one? Clairvoyance, which is one of the most commonly known clairs, which is clear sight, right? So receiving inner wisdom through your third eye, right? So this is your spot of clear sight, which is not seeing with your actual eye, but it is seeing with your mind's eye. So basically, maybe like images pop up all of a sudden. So it's kind of like when you see something with your imagination, or when you're reading a book and you're able to see that image. That's what this intuitive sense is like, is you just kind of are seeing like an image or something like that, or a symbol or whatever it may be, that really helps you to just receive that inner knowing and to receive that intuition. So these are the clairs, and these are the ways that you can use to really start to connect with the divine feminine within you, and without, because the Divine Feminine is all about intuition, all about the ability to receive, and all of this is, you know, these are your various senses from which you receive that universal intelligence, that universal knowing. So I always think of it as like it's without you, you know, meaning like it's coming from universal intelligence, but it's also within you because your intuition is connected to universal intelligence, if that makes sense. So it's a great way to connect with yourself, to start to just be mindful and pay attention to, you know, like, are you seeing things with your mind's eye? Maybe you're not even realizing that it's like a flash of intuition, right? You know, are you hearing something with your inner ear? Like, are you getting that intuitive feeling or gut feeling and it's coming through your inner ear? Or maybe you're just receiving downloads and you're getting just some knowledge, claircognizance, or you're really feeling the energy around you, and that is giving you an indication of maybe you should be here, or maybe you shouldn't, or maybe you need to set a boundary, or maybe you are able to help someone, right? So I just wanted to share this with you guys because I think it's important to be able to understand tangibly that we are all intuitive beings, that we all have the capability of connecting with spirit in this way, and that we can actually develop these things further. Where you place your focus and attention grows, right? So we can develop these things further if we want to be even more connected. So I hope you guys got something out of this video, and I hope you have a beautiful day. I will talk to you soon.